I'll just go ahead and give you the bad news first. Creating a timeless family room takes time. Ready for the good news? It's not that hard. Something you can start on a budget and really fun. I define a timeless room as one you don't get tired of. Don't feel the need to change when trends change. You don't care what styles others are telling you to follow. You know the look you like. Kids do this naturally. Have you ever seen a preschooler dressed in their favorite outfit? It's all about favorite colors, favorite fabrics, favorite activities, imagination, fun, and happiness. First step for creating a timeless room. If you want to create your version of a timeless room, forget about trends and start with what makes you happy. It's great to take inspiration from others, but be true to your inner ballerina or inner Batman. So, where do you start? Most designers would say to begin with one fabulous item, maybe a beautiful rug or fabric you love or that piece of art you would give a kidney for. And that's good advice. Well, not necessarily the kidney. Once you've made the investment, a designer would use that one piece like a 6-year-old uses a brand new big box of crayons, pulling out the colors and getting to work. Those are the accent colors for fabrics, paints, and artwork. And like the rainbows that children draw, look for an assortment of colors. Color is a huge topic, so I will be doing an upcoming video just on color. So a designer would say, my room began with this fabric that I fell in love with over 20 years ago. It's showing its age, but I still love it. Important caution here. If you compromise on this step, the color's okay, but not my favorite. I like the way it looks, but it's not comfortable. I chose it because I'm supposed to have original art, but it doesn't do anything for me. If you compromise on this important piece that high-end decorators insist you begin with, this will not be a timeless space. And you will either be replacing it sooner than you know, or stuck with something you grow to hate. So what do you do if you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to decorate? Personally, I made do with hand-me-downs, thrift store finds, curb shopping, and now I would use Facebook Marketplace. In our disposable society, people are always getting rid of things. Being too proud just costs you money in the long run. I would save my money to invest in my first timeless piece when the time was right and not rush it. Who knows, you just might find a hidden treasure while you wait. If you're ready now to move beyond the look we used to call early garage sale, but still have budget constraints, I will do another video on total budget decorating. But keep watching this video. I have plenty of affordable ideas that are timeless. Second step, look for pieces with history and meaning for you. Often these things will be free if you get them from family, or very inexpensive if you're a patient shopper. You can start acquiring them while you save money for your big designer piece. Chronologically, this room began long before I was born. Two pieces that have probably been in the family the longest are the marble top dresser from my great-grandparents' bedroom set and the candle stand that must have belonged to my great-grandmother or one of her siblings. No idea. I will just say it is the most indestructible piece ever. It was knocked over constantly by children and dogs and is still standing. The pair of chairs with their original green velvet were purchased by my grandmother before I was born. Because of their age, we don't sit on them. I essentially treat them like sculpture. When my grandmother told me I must never remove the original fabric on the green velvet chairs, I couldn't figure out what she was talking about. She was indicating her two ugly brown chairs. She and a friend found them at a fine antique store as a set of 4 and fell in love with them, but the price was too much for either one of them. So they each paid half and took 2. They made a pact that the chairs would be left to the one who lived the longest. If you were my grandmother's friend and are still alive, happy 120th birthday. Let me know where to ship your chairs. The whatnot and the card table belonged to that grandmother, and the little Victorian chair has a piece of needlepoint that she did. The pattern was a combination of flame stitch and petty point roses. Step 3. Look in basements, attics, and cabinets, the back of closets, yours and close family members that give you permission. You might just find a forgotten treasure that would look great in your room. This might sound like a crazy idea, but I think people intuitively acquire things that will work together. Have you ever brought home a new piece of clothing, then realized you already owned something that went perfectly with it? Maybe you'd even had it for years. We tend to choose similar colors and styles if we buy things we love. So what was the first thing I actually purchased in this room? When I was in college, my father told me to buy a Mother's Day present for his mother, since she and I both lived in Dallas and my parents lived in West Texas. I went to a Hallmark store and bought something I loved. I was very happy when she said years later she wanted me to have it. Then in the early 1990s, we moved from our tiny house into a much larger one. Faced with loads of blank walls, I purchased inexpensive framed prints. My favorites were always the botanicals. Over the years, I picked up inexpensive bookends, candlestick holders, picture frames, and a Home Depot lamp, slowly growing my timeless room, waiting for my big splurge. By the late 90s, my grandparents' old den furniture that we'd used in our family room for 10 years was in such bad shape that guests had to be told exactly where to sit. The one spot where you didn't sink to the floor. At that point, the chairs and sofa were beyond my skills to repair. And we finally had a little money. It was time for new furniture. Like I said, be patient. I was married 20 years before I bought what I actually wanted. I'd been working on steps 2 and 3 and was now ready for the high-end designer's step number 1. That was when I ordered 2 oversized chairs and a sofa. It was a bit of an extravagance, but I could not find anything ready-made that I wanted. I started with fabric selection and then the frame style. I am officially the old woman who refers to something that's over 20 years old as her new furniture. 5 years later, I went to an estate sale and purchased this large wardrobe from the amateur artist who painted the wildflowers. That would have been another decorator's starting place, but this is a classic example of buying something I love and having it just work with the rest of my furnishings. The coffee table is just an inexpensive piece, the piece most vulnerable in the event of a purge. If you've seen our Easy French DIY video, you will recognize the lamps and the mirror, my most recent additions. We will put a link to that video in the description if you want to check it out. One thing that does need to be addressed: this room has loads of stuff in it. Some people would say too much stuff. But for me, the space works because 3 of the 4 walls are open. One literally opens into the visually larger dining area. One has expansive bay windows that look into the garden. And the third has a large mirror that reflects the dining area. So by using 3 common design devices, the small footprint has the illusion of more space. Step 4, let go of the notion of perfection. I don't feel the need to update or follow trends. The ultimate compliment is children love this room. The chairs are perfect for snuggling, reading a book, watching a movie, playing a video game. No, truthfully, they like to sit on the coffee table when the video game is heated. The large wardrobe is filled with craft materials, games, and science stuff. I've been creating the room over the last 30 years, and my family started 100 years before that. Finally, step 5. Let your home evolve. I will have to replace the fabric eventually, but that doesn't mean I have to start all over again when things get worn and trends change. I would no more throw out my old things than throw out my great-grandmother. We'll welcome a new fabric just like we welcome a new baby that resembles several other members of the family and fits right in. A timeless room takes time to build. You can't just run out and buy new items then expect it to reflect anything but the latest trends. The challenge is to take your time and be patient with the creativity. You know, the most creative solutions and the best stories begin with the biggest challenges. See you next time.